Ridiculous 6, Magnificent 7, Hateful 8. What do they have in common? Not much, but they're all westerns.
One of these, however, is not like the other.
That's no moon.
So today we're going to be talking about The Magnificent 7, which is a remake of The Magnificent 7, which is a remake of Seven Samurai.
Triple remake.
Essentially a remake of a remake of a remake. So who's going to be talking about the plot of The Magnificent 7?
We have... Oh, it's me.
Okay.
Okay, so The Magnificent 7 tells the story of a group of townspeople who are
Very
basically...
brief story.
Yeah, the story's not a huge part and it's not very complex.
But yeah.
It's basically about a town that's being harassed by this evil guy and his corporation, who in this case, I haven't seen the original, are mining for gold, and who basically told the townspeople to get out or live under their oppression. So one of the townspeople goes and finds help in the form of Denzel Washington's character, whose name I can't remember.
And then obviously he meets 6 people by chance, so we have our movie.
And they are all basically very skilled people in different fields, and all 7 of them, they're kind of like a riff-raff bunch.
Yeah.
You know, there's that guy who's the sharpshooter. You have Denzel Washington's character, who's like almost a bounty hunter. I can't remember what he said. You have basically a tribesman or something?
Yeah,
some kind of tribal archer?
A lot of the characters do come out of nowhere. I mean, you've got the Mexican dude, like...
He did nothing.
Yeah,
he had like about 6 lines.
Yeah, he literally comes out of nowhere and he's just in the movie. And you've got the Native American dude. Even, to an extent, Vincent D'Onofrio. Like, he was probably one of the best characters in the movie, but he didn't really have a reason to be there. He just sort of appeared out of nowhere and he was like, yo, let's go fight this dude. It's literally about this one bad dude who wants to take over a town, and that's what we've seen in every Western before. But saying that, it's very cliche and very unoriginal, but it's very enjoyable at the same time. What I found with it is that it does slow down a lot towards the middle of the film.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of filler, because this is a movie that we've seen before, and it's a movie that they can't do much with that we haven't seen, but they fill it in with like some training montages and stuff. But the training scenes that they have, they train up these different characters to help them fight towards the end of the movie, and they're literally just there to be killed off again. So all that didn't seem very necessary, but I can see why it was in there, because you needed stuff to make this into a movie.
Pretty much, yeah. I think the characters... Like, I like the idea of a misfit bunch of characters as much as the next guy, but
I mean, Dale loves Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, so. Do I? But basically, I think that the characters, I don't know, they try and do... It doesn't feel like they try and do a lot. Like, there's a bit, for example, we have this Native American character who's not developed at all, like, pretty much all of the main cast, and there's a bit towards the end where he has to face off, I guess, against this other Native American who's working for the bad guy of the film.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe they'll do something, but he just ends up saying, like, you're a disgrace to... Well, you're a disgrace, and then, you know, the fight ensues. There's a bit where one of the characters has a freak out, which just feels like, you know, completely out of place, and I guess it might happen in the original.
I don't remember that scene,
but he freaks out and runs away, as you might expect.
Oh, yeah, I do.
And then,
Ethan Hawke's character.
Yeah. He basically just does the typical thing where he freaks out, runs away, and then comes back later to save the day.
Yeah, and he doesn't explain it. It's just like, oh, you're back? Yep.
It just seems really out of the blue. It seems really forced, and it doesn't feel like... I don't think really any of the characters have development. Like, there's a bit where...
the only real developed character is Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
and I guess Chris Pratt, because they really focus this movie around Chris Pratt, like with the marketing, and obviously he's not the main character of the film.
Yeah.
But him and Denzel Washington feel like the only characters who really are fleshed out.
It's
and
weird
to
though,
an extent, Ethan Hawke as
yeah,
well.
I couldn't have told you Chris Pratt's character's name until the end when I saw it in the credits.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know what your name is.
A lot of the characters, they're just sort of there, and you don't really know who they are, but you do sort of, because they're such recognisable like faces, you feel invested to an extent, but you don't really know anything about them. You're just there to watch them take out some bad guys, and that's the main thing about the film. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, because we've had some pretty complex movies. I mean, Go With All The Gifts just came out, and that's way more complex than this. So it's nice to have a movie you can just sit back and watch and not have to think much about.
I mean, Hateful Eight is probably the best Western this year, and if anything, this movie made me go, wow, I really want to watch The Hateful Eight again. So I'm going to have to find a spare 3.5 hours to sit down and watch it again.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really like the final throwdown. Like, all these characters sort of shooting down these bad guys, and you've just got people, like, everywhere just dying. It's really brutal for a 12A film, I'll say that.
Yeah, it is quite
But,
brutal, actually.
What I really wanted to do after watching this, after seeing that showdown, is play Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
You know, because you see all these characters, and Chris Pratt's character, like, he's the sharpshooter, and he's got, like, these 2 guns, and he's taking down loads of bad guys at once, and it made me feel like, you know, he was doing that Deadeye thing from Red Dead Redemption, where you can target different parts of the body and, like, shoot down the characters. So that's what I really wanted to do after watching this. So if anything, this movie succeeded in making me want to play Western video games or watch more Westerns, if that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
But I feel like what they were trying to do was tell a story and base it sort of around these big names. And it didn't work as well as you would have hoped it would. I mean, the trailers were probably better than the movie itself, because the trailers had a lot more action and made it feel a lot more like sort of, I don't know, what would you say, like a big action movie. And this movie isn't entirely that.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that it's enjoyable,
Definitely
but there's
enjoyable,
films of the same genre that do it a lot better, like we just mentioned, The Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I appreciate the effort, I guess, because I know it's a remake, and a lot of people say remakes are the most unoriginal thing you can do. Remake of a remake, so it's even less original. But it's a Western movie, and Western movies, you know, pretty much, if you don't know, they used to be the biggest thing, probably back in the 60s or the 50s.
Yeah.
And
we haven't
now,
had one for a while. I mean,
yeah, they're basically the most scarce movie genre.
Yeah, because even Hateful Eight wasn't an entirely full-on Western. It had its sort of more of a dramatic presence to it.
I feel like movies like The Hateful Eight and even Django, they have a director's name to rely on, because people love Tarantino for good reason, but, you know, I feel like him making a Western isn't as risky as someone else, because people will see it. And to be fair, The Hateful Eight was pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, it was a brilliant
So they have
movie.
reason to see it other than the fact it's his name attached to it, but...
Yeah, I mean,
know.
It's not going to be a waste of time if you watch the film, because if you want something enjoyable, and if you want like a full-on Western where it's literally just people throwing down towards the end of the movie and you've got the big final battle that they're building up to, it pays off, and it pays off pretty well. Everyone does a good job in terms of acting. I mean, the unknowns, obviously, you don't know who they are, so you can't really sort of compare them to any other films they've done. But Chris Pratt plays the same character he always plays, the Star-Lord type outlaw, and then you've got like Denzel Washington, who's the badass that he always plays. Vincent D'Onofrio is the only one that really had a bit of range in this. He was sort of a really dumb, stupid guy, and it was kind of funny to see him do something like that.
His character was weird, because he was really religious, it seemed, because he was always talking about God, but he was extremely violent.
Yeah, he was this big, massive guy. He was just taking down hordes of bad guys, jumping around, and I loved it. I thought he was probably my favourite character.
And his voice as well. He had a
it was
very
pretty
high-pitched
annoying.
voice.
It was pretty annoying.
And he just talked. He didn't have that many lines, to be fair, but he just talked pretty weird.
No, I mean, a lot of the actors in this movie don't get their own time to shine. Like I said, it's literally just Chris Pratt and Denzel Washington. Every other actor is just in the movie to be part of the 7, and that's what it feels like to me. But at the end of the day, I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I wouldn't recommend you go rush out to see it. I mean, it's better than some of the stuff out there right now.
True.
But if I'm going to say watch a film this week, I'll say watch Girl with All the Gifts, because that one deserves your time. This one also does, but I'm just saying,
to a lesser extent,
it's something you've seen before, and if you don't mind that, then go and see it. And if you don't mind something that can sort of slow down and, you know, sort of add a bit of, what would you say, like, instead of the action, it adds a bit of dialogue and a bit of, like, sort of talkative stuff. If you don't mind that, then I'd say it's worth seeing. But if you want something new and fresh, then this isn't it. So
yeah, oh God, yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean, anything else before we go?
No, I'm surprised you managed to make this review so lengthy.
Yeah.
Because you really could sum it up by saying, fun, but nothing you haven't seen 100 times before.
That's exactly it. So, not a terrible film, but also not a great film, and that pretty much fully describes this movie.
Yeah.
So, we'll see you guys soon.
It's a space station.